wrestling fans, and welcome to Wrestler Weekly Presents. I'm your host, Scottie Richardson, back for another episode here in Season 5. That's right, Season 5 of Wrestler Weekly Presents. Hard to believe, all started back in the summer of 2017. Wrestler Weekly started back in 2016 on my dad's birthday, October 17th. Just a couple weeks ahead of my birthday as well. But man, we're glad that you're back with us, and it's Season 5. And you know, our theme and our topics this season have been all about the number 5, showcasing 5 wrestling magazines from the Wrestler Weekly collection here located in Raleigh, North Carolina, home of Wrestler Weekly. Shout out to my brother, the Dr. Reggie, down in Jacksonville, Florida, and Mike Leotis up in New Jersey. We're all in the heat wave here in the summertime, and the living is easy as we're getting ready for another episode. Last week we talked about tag teams. This week, and I told you last week, if something came in the mail, then we would have my favorite wrestler, the Nature Boy Ric Flair, spotlighting 5 magazines from my collection. And I have, last I checked, we are at 56 different Ric Flair autographs. A lot of them are behind the curtain here, if you will, on the wall, framed. But a couple of those, we have a whole box back that way. That is all Ric Flair signed mags, and I am in the middle of a reorganization. If you are a collector like myself, you know how that goes. And so when you are organizing and reorganizing, and so I'm in the midst of that. But Wrestler Weekly Presents, if you're new to us, it all started back in the summer of 2017 when I was in Myrtle Beach and working with Tommy Wildfire Rich at his school of wrestling. And shout out to my great friend Chris Marsh. If you're watching, he's back in Myrtle Beach, and Chris and I worked with Tommy, and it was a great venture. And out of that spawned this show, Wrestler Weekly Presents. Back then, Season 1, I went through years, so each episode was a year of whatever that magazine year was. And so, for instance, I just went back today. I put out in our Twitter feeds and different feeds, and we'll talk about that in a minute where you can find us. But today we had a Tuesday takeaway, and that Tuesday takeaway, and I know you're watching this on Wednesday, but yesterday on Tuesday takeaway, the spotlight was on Greg Valentine. And Greg Valentine, could he have been a world champion? We know about 1981, WWF, Madison Square Garden, Bob Backlund, and he gets the title. If you want to know more about that and what happened, if you don't know that story, I did an episode, and I went back and I actually watched that episode and sent it to a buddy of mine. But it's Season 1. And it's part 1 of 1982. Even though the match happened in 1981, the magazines were always about 3 months behind. And so that match happened in October of 81. Roll around and you can find it in 1982. Great magazine cover, and maybe I'll spotlight that throughout this season of Season 5. It's been a while. I think back then, what's funny is back then I only had Greg Valentine had signed that, but Bob Backlund added his signature to that magazine to make it worth our while. And then I actually picked up the actual program recently of that match. So that's a great one. Go back and check it out. You can find the match on YouTube or the network, I'm sure. And so, Wrestler Weekly, where can you find us? We are all over the social media landscape, and you can find us at Wrestler Weekly on Twitter, Facebook, as well as Instagram, and then obviously here at YouTube, our home for Wrestler Weekly Presents. But let's jump right into it. 5 magazines, Ric Flair, the Nature Boy, my favorite wrestler. And the first one, and I'll tell you, it's a theme, okay? Bear with me here. It's not just 5 random Ric Flair magazines. Tonight we're going to see 5 Ric Flair magazines where on the cover he has won the World's Championship, okay? The World's Heavyweight Championship. And each magazine tonight is a different belt. So I wanted to spotlight 5 Ric Flair magazines when he has won the belt and 5 different belts. So let's take a look. Number 1, PWI. Spotlighted this one a few times through Wrestler Weekly season. But this is a great one. April of 1984. Signed on the cover. Oh, by the way, you want to check out my book, go to Amazon.com. Family Bacon Wrestling. You can check out the book. You want t-shirts? ProWrestlingTees.com/WrestlerWeekly for all your Wrestler Weekly needs. How about written articles? 720wrestling.com or on Medium. You can find some articles that I have written and check that out. But here we go. Number 1, a second chance of greatness. Let's talk about it. Most of you know what this magazine is referring to and talking about. Let me make sure I get a good spot here so we can see this magazine. This is Starrcade 83. That was April 1984, but it says a second chance of greatness, second chance at greatness. This is when he cage match, Starrcade 83, one of the greatest matches of all time, in my opinion, because I'm a Flair fan. But this was Flair gaining the title back. Remember, he defeated Dusty Rhodes previously. And so here we are, 1983, Starrcade 83, a Flair for gold, and there we go. Flair for the gold, and there he is. He wins the belt. NWA World's Heavyweight Championship. This is an iconic magazine with the suit, autographed. I got this one autographed in Alma, Georgia. Alma, am I saying that right? I don't know. Alma, A-L-M-A, Alma, Georgia. And got a lot of things signed that night. Reggie and I, we swooped in. Kind of funny story. We got there early. We met the promoters. This was I'm not going to give you the promoter's name because I don't want you trying my tricks. But got there early. It was a high school gym, old school feel. We got there. We were, did the handshake. You know what the handshake is in the collecting business. So we did the handshake, and exchanged some pleasantries, if you know what I mean. So then now they set us in the front. They said, okay, this is going to be where the front of the line is, and our goal is to try to get in and get out. Sometimes we stay throughout the whole event, but a lot of times we're there, we're on a mission, and typically we're not staying in that location. Maybe we're on to something else, but we got in, and all of a sudden there's no Flair. And, there's the line. They have not opened the doors yet, and the line is just wrapped around the building. And Reggie and I, we got two suitcases full of stuff, and our goal was to get in and get out before they open the doors, because once you open the doors, we don't want to hold people up, especially this amount of crowd. And so we're there, and it's just no Flair. So they kept saying he's on his way, he's on his way, he's on his way. And I tell you what happened is the driver who picked him up at the airport was trying to get him so fast, and got a speeding ticket. So held him up and took forever. They got to open the doors. The doors open. People are filing in. They're lining up. And obviously, we're in the front. And, the line is now down. So picture in a corner of the gym, high school basketball gym, going all the way down the whole length of the court, 84 feet, if you want to know how far that is. I'm a basketball coach. But 84 feet, and then wrapped underneath a basket, and then all the way back down the other side. And so we're like, man, this is really going to be bad because we've already exchanged, we're already in, and these people are going to have to just wait on the Richardson boys to get done. And so that's what happened. Now, the only good thing about it is everyone in the front thought that all of this stuff that Flair was signing was then going to be on sale at a table somewhere, that we were going to take all this merchandise, can you imagine, and belts and mags and programs and ticket stubs and everything else that we got signed that night. But no, we just kept, here you go, stacking them up, having conversation, and then we boxed it up and kind of mingled around a little bit. We talked to Tommy Rich. We took a photo with Hacksaw Jim Duggan. We talked to Kevin Nash, talked to some other people, and these people are still in line. And they're like looking at us like, what are they doing? They're gonna go sit over here they're just kind of mingling with the other guys, and all of a sudden we just kept on kind of going around the tables and seeing everybody, and all of a sudden we just kept on going and walked outside and into our car and cranked up some music, dropped the windows, and man, we were out of there, and people were pissed, man. They thought for sure I'm gonna get that belt, I'm gonna get those mags, but now it was just the Richardson boys strike again, and Flair got it. We appreciated that he stayed there and did all that, and those fans, that's how it goes in the business. All right, so we got the 10 pounds of gold. Now stay with me. 5 magazines, 5 Ric Flairs, 5 winning the belts, all different belts. This is the 10 pounds of gold. We know all about that. If you want a good book on that, Dick Bourne, check it out. Dave Milliken, shout out to those guys, two of my great friends. And Dave Milliken has been a guest on our show. And David Chappell of the Mid-Atlantic Gateway has been a guest on our show a couple different times. So check those out back in the archives. And here we go. The next one says Ric Flair's 4th NWA title reign, last chance to quiet the critics. This comes December of '86, so stay with me. April of '84, a second chance at greatness, and now a last chance to quiet the critics. Ric Flair's 4th NWA title reign. Now I'm not going to get in the weeds of all the reigns and who he's the 16 times versus 21 or 22. Let you guys debate that. I've got opinions on it, but you guys debate that. I think I don't want to get into my opinions. Well, you want my opinion? Look, if the belt changed hands, if a fan bought a ticket and he saw a title change, then guess what? It happened. And that fan went home and he told 25 people. And 25, 30 years later, guess what? He's still telling people. So don't care about what Wikipedia says or WWE. I'm about what you saw in the event, and it happened. So if you want to say 21, 22, whatever, I'm with you. But here we go, 4th title reign. And now here we go. This is the big gold. The big gold. Make sure you can see that. I feel like I'm a little short tonight. I'll have to fix that for the next episode. But here we go. 10 pounds of gold signed by Ric Flair. 16 times he put in there. I always like to look at Flair's hair. The different as you go through these. That's going to be the thing as you go through these with me tonight. Just see how they changes through the years. I think it's hilarious and fascinating. But here we go. 10 pounds of gold to the big gold. This is 4th chance of greatness. Don't forget, this is when he defeated Dusty Rhodes. Second time he's defeated Dusty for a World's Heavyweight Championship. The third would have been Kerry Von Erich. So here we go. This is a great one. Those Great American Bash title defenses and the summer, those matches. I remember as a kid getting the cups. I still have the Road Warriors. I still have Ric Flair. Reggie's got quite a few. And here we go. Now, when Flair left NWA. Me and Reggie went with him. So we followed him with the WWF run, and but you're not the real world's champion. Bobby Heenan, that whole thing was just awesome with the big gold and on WWF TV. But this one is, and I don't have a whole lot of WWF. I'm not a big collector of WWF magazines or WCW magazines. I have a few, but not really a big collector of those. But this is a WWF magazine, March of '92. So now we're going December of '86. 6 years later, we're in 1992, and this is the Winged Eagle. Royal Rumble, Sid, Hogan, the whole thing. Here we are. This was a great one. I got signed. This one, I believe, I had signed in Dorton Arena when I saw him a few years ago, and glad that he was able to sign that. But here again, let's look at the hair changes. A little different. Remember the bowl cut? Oh my goodness, who can forget that? But this one, Flair, and he would go on and drop that to Savage, and then pick it back up, and then drop it to Bret Hart before returning. And then who would have ever thought of this, man? This one is, again, we went from WWF magazine to now we're going to WCW magazine. I told you I don't have a lot. You're probably seeing the only two I own. I might own a couple more, but it has Flair on it with a belt. I'm in. This one, WCW magazine, April of '94. Remember, this one was April of '84. And here we are, 10 years later, 2 years after this world's heavyweight title. I know that's debatable. And those that are close to me, Bill Pavlik, Zeus, we always have great debates on that topic. But here we go. He's back. It's WCW time now. And now here is the WCW World Championship. And defeated Vader. It's Vader time. Big Van Vader. And I got to meet Vader, let's see, it was probably in spring of 2017 that I got to meet Vader. And that's the day I met David Peck. He took a photo of me and Reggie with Ken Patera. So, or no, was it Ken? David, correct me. Was it Ken or was it Stan Hansen? One of the two. May have been both. But got to meet Vader. I actually talked to Vader a little bit about Japanese wrestling. We didn't really get into the WCW stuff, but this was a shocker to most. Flair had been around for a long time, had been on top for a long time. But man, it was just, as a Flair fan, to see him take this world title back 10 years later on the anniversary of Starrcade. This was Starrcade 93 now, and it was just an amazing situation. You can kind of see he's kind of got a little bit of the presidential hair going there. A little bit of a change. All right, 5 magazines. This is 4. We got one more. Now don't forget, before we show the finale, I've got an absolute, this is some, let's see, this is some more. This is more. All right, so each episode I am going through and opening package breaks. So we got that to look forward to tonight. And if you are looking for signed 8x10s, last week we talked about the Fantastics. Here's a Bobby Fulton. We've got Slick in here. We've got, I just talked about this guy, Greg Valentine with the IC belt. All of these are autographed. How about an old school autographed Ox Baker? So if you are interested in buying any of my 8x10s, these are all for sale. If you will message us at Wrestler Weekly on Twitter, Facebook, also Instagram. We will get you the list and the pricing, and you can go home with an 8x10, signed 8x10 from Wrestler Weekly. All right, here we go. Number 5, Ric Flair. Then we're going to open a package. We've had the 10 pounds of gold. We have had the big gold. We have had the Winged Eagle. Back to the WCW belt. And now this one, again, 1994. How about 5 years later? 5 years later, after battling the NWO for so long in the late 90s, mid to late 90s, making fun of the Horsemen, the whole thing. Here it is, uncensored 99, if you remember. And Flair wins the NWO Big Gold. The cage match with Hogan, blood everywhere, and this one I just picked up. The reason I was saying picked up because I needed a 5th one, and I reached out to my great friend Bud Carson. I said, Bud, Philly Bud, I need a mag to complete my 5 set here. I need the Flair autographed. And so all these other 4 I was able to obtain on my own, but this one I had to reach out. I had to phone a friend, and Bud hooked me up here. But what a great time. Flair back on top, 1999. Are you kidding me? Going all the way back from 1981 when he first won. It's amazing. He's the GOAT. He's the greatest. And he's my favorite, regardless of where you put him on a list. When we talk about favorites, he's my favorite. All right, where are we at? Package time. Now remember, I collect all kinds of things. So if I open a package, and I got my trusty scissors here, but if I open a package and it's not wrestling related, I will open another one just so we get to something wrestling. But I want to show you this. It's not wrestling related, but it's collectible relatable. And here we go. These are newspapers from France. Let's see if you can see one, if they'll show up on the camera. And these are very brittle, so I'm not going to really handle them a whole lot. But this is Sugar Ray Robinson, greatest boxer of all time. Everyone patterned their career after him, including Muhammad Ali. But Sugar Ray Robinson, 1950 French, and I got a lot. I got 4 of these. Here's one in action. But these are going to look great framed on my boxing wall, which is back that way. And so I don't know if you're into boxing, but you know, if you're like me, I collect all kinds of things. So thought I'd show you. Let's see what's in the package before we wrap up the night. Package break. This one is coming from Lexington, North Carolina. Oh, this is my great friend Brack Beasley. Brack is a great wrestling collectible friend of mine here in the state of North Carolina. And oh man, this is such a good one. And this is 2 weeks in a row with this guy on the cover. This is a program. It's the Ringsider, Friday, July 20, 1973. Tonight, Dory Funk Jr. versus Tim Woods. Next week, World's Heavyweight Championship match. Unbelievable. Dory on the cover. NWA World's Heavyweight title on the shoulder. What a great magazine or program. Actually, that's a great program from my great friend Brack. Do we want to do one more? How about a little small one? Now this one's from Japan. So let's see what we got from Japan. Now these were held up a lot of you guys, I know Maddie at Wrestling with Classics, give him a shout out. A lot of us, my brother Reggie, we were waiting for months, but of course with the COVID, waiting for months on Japan to open up so they could send out packages. And this one is packaged extremely well. But I'm glad that we were able to get everything in. And I tell you that I guess the great thing is it's been so long, I don't even know what it is. So that's the great thing about it, because it's news to you and it's news to me. So here we go. Let's open this up. This thing is really packaged well. And it looks like a ticket stub. Let's see if there's, how many ticket stubs are in this thing. All right, nice plastic like that. And there's a couple stubs in here. So let's see what we get. All right, so this is, and I really got into these guys in their matches. Antonio Inoki and Bruiser Brody. Just a fascinating matchup to me. And so I went back and did a lot of research on this and these matches. So here's the ticket stub. And then here is 1991 Starrcade in the Tokyo Dome. Another great ticket stub there. And is that all in this one? Yes. All right, well, there we go. There you have it. Just to recap, Dory on the program. That was the package break. Let's see this one. We'll get a little up close on these if you want to. There's NWO, WCW. Here is the Winged Eagle winning the Royal Rumble, defeating Dusty, the Big Gold, 1986. And then the classic PWI, Second Chance at Greatness. If you want to find us, you can find us at Wrestler Weekly on Twitter, Facebook. Give us a like. Instagram, follow us there as well. YouTube, make sure you are subscribed. Check out Family Bacon Wrestling on Amazon. T-shirts, ProWrestlingTees.com. And fans, until next time, so long for now.
Somebody say something about Tommy Wildfire Rich coming to you live in Myrtle Beach. The waves are gusting and the breezes are blowing. Lord have mercy. Wrestler Weekly. Y'all better check this stuff out.